When the morning sun filtered through the glass walls of the corporate tower, the building felt like a monument to ambition. Elena Voss, CEO of Voss Dynamics, walked briskly through the lobby, heels clicking like a metronome of authority. People parted when she moved, partly from respect, partly from fear. Today marked the final week before the largest merger in the company's history, a $1 billion deal that would define her legacy. The world watched, the markets trembled, and Elena planned every breath she would take. In her mind, nothing could go wrong. Except, something already had. Waiting outside the tower was her new driver, assigned by the security team for this stressful week. A tall, quiet man in an impeccably pressed uniform, standing next to the black executive sedan. His name, they said, was Armin. No last name listed in the internal directory. No previous corporate driver experience. Just, Armin. Elena had raised an eyebrow at that. As she approached the car, he opened the door smoothly, offering a polite nod. "Good morning, Ms. Voss." She barely glanced at him. "Please be punctual. My schedule is tight. And no unnecessary conversation." "Yes, ma'am." She settled into the back seat, crossed her legs, and opened her tablet. As the car pulled smoothly onto the road, she caught his reflection in the rear-view mirror, calm, almost too calm. Something about his posture seemed strangely confident for a simple driver. She dismissed the thought. She didn't need to understand him, she just needed him to drive. For the first 2 days, their interactions were simple. He drove, she worked, but she noticed he always took routes that avoided traffic before it even formed. He anticipated roadblocks. He never needed the GPS. He responded to her schedule changes before she even voiced them, adjusting routes as if he could predict them. Once, she muttered to herself, "We're going to be late," after a meeting ran long. Armin had replied quietly, "No, ma'am. We'll be on time. There's a faster path through Parkside." And of course, he was right. But she still didn't take him seriously. He was just a driver, an employee on the lowest rung. And she had no space in her world for people who didn't matter to the grand scheme of her business empire. Everything changed on Thursday. They were headed to a high-stakes board meeting when Elena noticed Armin glance at the side mirror with sharp alertness. "What is it?" she asked, annoyed. "Just a tailgater," he said calmly. "Nothing to worry about." But it wasn't nothing. 2 minutes later, the car behind them accelerated aggressively. Before Elena could react, Armin swerved with precision, navigating through traffic with movements that were sharp yet controlled. Elena felt her heart pound as he shifted lanes, took increasingly unexpected turns, and finally slowed down only when the suspicious car disappeared. She stared at him, breath catching. "Where did you learn to drive like that?" He simply smiled. "You pick up skills here and there." She stared a little longer, realizing he was far from ordinary. But she didn't ask. She had other concerns pulling her attention, specifically, the merger. That evening, Elena received the call that nearly shattered her career. "Ms. Voss," her legal consultant spoke quickly, panic threading her voice. "There's a major problem. Someone leaked the preliminary merger documents. Competitors got the numbers. The international board is threatening to pull out." Elena froze. "What? That's impossible. Those files are secured. Someone bypassed internal firewalls, very advanced infiltration. If we don't prove the data was manipulated or stolen, the merger collapses." Elena felt nausea tighten her chest. The merger wasn't just a business win, it was survival. One bad year of market losses had put her company in a precarious position. The merger was the lifeline. If it failed, thousands of employees would lose jobs, and Elena's reputation would crumble. "Find the source, now," she ordered, voice shaking. When she ended the call, she realized Armin was still there, holding the door open for her, waiting silently. "Everything all right, ma'am?" he asked. She snapped, "No, everything is not all right. My company is on the brink of catastrophe. Some hacker genius breached systems that have never been touched before. And if I don't fix it by tomorrow morning, the merger is dead." Armin studied her expression. "What kind of breach?" She scoffed. "You wouldn't understand. This isn't driving or whatever else you do." He didn't react to the insult, only tilted his head slightly. "Try me." She opened her mouth to shut him down, but something, she couldn't explain what, made her pause. Maybe it was the way he handled himself earlier. Maybe it was the strange confidence he carried. Or maybe, for once, she felt desperate enough to listen. So she told him. She explained the internal leak, the corrupted metadata, the falsified timestamps. She expected him to look confused. Instead, he nodded slowly. Sounds like fragmentation spoofing paired with mirrored access overlays, he said casually. Elena blinked. How do you know that? He met her eyes in the rear view mirror. Because I used to hunt people who did it. She stared. Who are you? But he didn't answer. Instead, he asked, may I see the corrupted file? Against every instinct telling her this made no sense, she forwarded him a limited access copy. He pulled out a compact device, one she had never seen a driver carry, and began examining the data. His fingers moved quickly, expertly. After several tense minutes, he said, this wasn't a failure on your system. Someone planted a ghost signature to make the leak look internal. The real source is off-grid. I can trace it, but we need to go now. Go where? To whoever's trying to destroy your company. Her mind spun. That's insane. I can't just. Ma'am, he said firmly, if we don't move fast, the merger will collapse. I can save it, but you have to trust me. Elena, for the first time in years, felt the unfamiliar sensation of handing over control. She nodded. They drove. He guided the car through the city, into an industrial area, then to an abandoned warehouse. Elena's instincts screamed danger, but Armin's calmness anchored her. Inside the warehouse, the lights flickered, illuminating a row of old servers humming faintly. Armin navigated them like someone who had spent years chasing shadows in the digital underworld. He connected his device, fingers flying across the interface. This leak wasn't random, he muttered. Someone wants you out. Someone who knows your company inside and out. Competitors? She asked, heart racing. He shook his head. Closer. Just then, the screen displayed a digital fingerprint, an encrypted signature linking the breach to a single username. One Elena recognized immediately. Her CFO, her most trusted executive, the man who stood next to her through every crisis. She felt dizzy. No, he wouldn't. Armin turned slowly. He already did. Elena's mind spiraled. She thought of the board meetings, the side glances, the pressure. The CFO stood to gain everything if she fell. Control of the company, the merger, the board's loyalty. Armin disconnected the device. We need proof. And we need it before dawn. As they drove back, he mapped out the plan. You'll confront him at headquarters, he explained. But don't accuse him yet. I'll extract the hidden data trail from his workstation. Once you have the evidence, you present it to the international board. They'll have no choice but to proceed with the merger. She stared at him. Why are you helping me? Who hired you really? My assignment, he said quietly, is to protect you. Protect me. From what? From the enemies you didn't know you had. The words lingered in the air like a puzzle she couldn't solve. Back at headquarters, they executed the plan with surgical precision. Armin slipped past biometric locks as if they were mere inconveniences. Elena waited, nerves frayed, as he extracted a hidden chain of unauthorized access logs, offshore IP pings, transaction bribes, and encrypted communications tied directly to her CFO. By dawn, they had everything. When the CFO arrived at the board presentation, he carried the swagger of a man who believed his victory was moments away. He sat casually, expecting Elena to crumble. But she didn't. Elena entered the room with the poise of someone armed with truth, followed quietly by Armin, now dressed not as a driver but in a sleek tactical suit she had never seen before. The CFO's smile faltered. Elena placed her device on the table, pressing play on the recording. Armin recovered. Every face in the boardroom turned pale as the evidence unfolded. The CFO tried to deny it. He shouted, accused her, even lunged for her device, but security detained him instantly. The international board members exchanged glances before the chairman spoke. Ms. Voss, with this evidence, the merger proceeds immediately. Congratulations. Elena exhaled, her entire career, her entire company, saved. After the meeting, she turned to Armin outside the conference room. You saved a $1 billion merger, she said quietly. You saved my company. He nodded. Just doing my job, ma'am. No, she said, your job was to drive. This was something else entirely. He hesitated, then finally answered the question she had asked earlier. I worked in covert cybersecurity intelligence. Off-record, international. When threats escalated around you, certain agencies were notified. They assigned me to protect you under the guise of a driver. Your company is more important to global tech stability than you realize. And so are you. She stared, speechless. So, all this time, you were guarding me. Yes, ma'am. And I laughed at you, she whispered. He gave a small smile. Happens more often than you think. She felt a rush of humility, something she hadn't felt in years. Armin, thank you. He nodded. You're welcome. As he turned to leave, she called after him. Will you stay? Not as a driver, as something higher, something equal to your skills. He paused. If you need me, I'm here. For the first time, Elena smiled genuinely. And as she walked back into her tower, the sun rising behind her and the merger officially sealed, she realized she had learned a lesson no billion-dollar deal had ever taught her. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Because sometimes, the person the world overlooks is the one who saves everything.